That team out west is how Oregon is going to be referred to, it appears, by those up in Columbus, Jared. And October 12th is going to be one of the biggest days in the history of Autzen Stadium. It is up there with '09 USC or the Civil War from 2009, for that matter. A couple of games that I omitted from a list I put together yesterday of the biggest games at Autzen in my lifetime. 2014 Michigan State, that was on there. But I'm curious about the question of how rivalry-esque can Oregon and Ohio State become? What's your sense on that?
I think it certainly could become a big rivalry. I mean, especially now that they're in the same conference. You kind of felt that way when they initially announced the schedule dates of like 2020 and 2021, where it was like, oh, this could be something, because that's when like schools would announce it like 8-10 years in the future.
They still do that. It's one of the most illogical things in all of college football. We know Oregon's non-conference schedule through like 2032. It's madness.
It's very silly, especially during the pandemic season when everybody was like, hey, I have a field open.
Yeah.
You guys have enough healthy players to come and play us? You do? Cool, let's play. But to go to your question, yeah, no, this could absolutely become a rivalry, especially just how these two programs look on just their trajectory course. And Ohio State is where Oregon would like to be. And I know Oregon fans might not want to hear that, but Ohio State has won national championships. They have gone to the college football playoffs multiple times in the last decade that the playoffs have been around, since 2014. They beat Oregon in the national championship game in 2014. That's the trajectory that Oregon wants to be on, where they are a perennial. We talked about this, where it's like, this must be how Georgia and Alabama feel every year, where they're perennial college football playoffs contenders and national champion contenders, or favorites, or whatever the case may be. It's how Ohio State has felt for like the last 10 years too. And with how Oregon is on the up and coming, where they're recruiting nationwide and they're in the Big Ten and they're in the big conference, they got big boy money now too with NIL. This could certainly be a rivalry. And I have no doubt in my mind that these schools will be going after the same recruits, just like they already have been doing out of California, out of Ohio, out of anywhere across the country. They're going to be mentioned in the same conversations every single season for college football playoff opportunities and odds, national championship odds, Big Ten championship odds. Like, if Oregon if they can both continue on this trajectory of being one of the best teams in the country, or a top 10 team in the country, this will be a rivalry, because they're going to meet up. I don't have the schedules in front of me, but they're going to meet up at least every other year, and it's going to be home and away, and someone's going to have bragging rights in the other school because they won at home or they won on the road, whatever the case may be. And we have social media now, which can indirectly lead to rivalries just because people can talk to each other at a moment's notice. So when that October 12th week comes up, there's going to be plenty of smack talk going on Twitter. And I think that kind of helps build a rivalry, because then you honestly start to hate the opposing team's fan base. Then you really don't like them. And then when you play, you really don't like them. And I think that could absolutely happen with Oregon and Ohio State. And I'm very excited for it. Like you said, this game in Autzen on October 12th is going to be incredibly special. I'm not sure we can really put it into words. Yeah.
Big time. Yeah. I read the YouTube comments on my show every day, and I can tell you that the seeds of recruiting rivalries are already there.
And that's how it starts. Yep.
Yes, that is exactly how it starts. And I like that you brought up that point, because you will see Oregon, Ohio State going after the same sorts of players. And we know that on-field results can have an impact in recruiting. Most famously for Oregon, he said after, not that he was considering Washington, but he said after the Washington game is when Kayvon Thibodeau decided, yeah, I'm going to go to Oregon. That was incredible. That was amazing. I want to be a part of that. And I think October 12th is the first opportunity for a team to kind of plant their flag in the ground and say, we run the Big Ten, because these are the two best recruiting teams in the Big Ten. And it's, I guess, kind of close. Like Washington and Michigan can be top 20, but they haven't shown that they can be top 10 consistently. And on the field, that Washington and Michigan, or just in the national championship game, of course, can get to that sort of level. But the one drawback to the idea of this becoming a true rivalry is the frequency with which the game gets played. Like, if you take a 2-year gap from when you play them, which is how it worked in the old Pac-12 scheduling. And look, the Big Ten, has got their plans. I haven't dissected it year by year of who Oregon's going to play and how the rotations will work and whatnot. But that, I think, is the biggest hurdle, because it feels like with the stakes in these games, something's bound to happen on the field that spurs the rivalry on. Players, there's a late hit somewhere, or players get into a sparring match, or there's a call from an official. Like, those sorts of things just magnify everything for fans. The only way I don't see it taking off and becoming, a conference heavyweight rivalry bout a la Georgia and Alabama, who don't play every year, is, well, if you play Ohio State this year and next year, but then you don't play them for 2 years, does it die down in that sort of time?
It might. I think it just kind of depends on the success of the programs. And I mean, I'll be honest, like, whoever wins that game on October 12th is going to hate that other team until the next time they play them. And they're going to just be looking for revenge because, like you said, at this point, on a consistency level, like, Oregon and Ohio State are the best of the bunch of, like, the incoming guys, and then the Big Ten for the last decade. And they're going to be looking at each other as real competition in terms of who gets to wear the Big Ten crown, and probably cheering against them, much like Oregon fans probably cheered against Washington during their playoff run. And so I think it'll still be enough to brew over. And, they don't play in 25. I just looked this up. They don't play in 25, but they play in 26 at Ohio State. I think Ohio State's still going to be mad about 2021 when Oregon went in there in a non-con game and beat them in the shoe for, like, I don't remember what the stat was, but there was only like a handful of teams who have beat Ohio State on the road in non-con since like the year 2000. And it was like Oregon, Oklahoma, the Baker Mayfield, and then like 2 other games. So
some are saying CJ Verdell is still running.
Some are saying
the rumors. They're just rumors, but they could be true.
Our sources are indicating. But I think there's still going to be people who are upset by that. Like, my girlfriend is Ohio State alumni. She still is.
Whoa! Big revelation here by Jared Mack on the show. Holy smokes! So that's going to be an awkward day.
Yes, it's going to be an awkward day.
Oh boy!
Her whole family is Ohio State fans. She went there undergrad. Oh boy! And she's still upset that they won in 2021.
And here we are on the podcast talking about whether or not these two schools are going to hate each other. Good luck, sir.
Thank you. Yeah, we might hate each other by October 13th. Who knows? It just depends on what happens in that game. Yeah. It's certainly going to be bragging rights within the house. That's for sure.
Oh, wow. That's, I'll give you some hope and optimism for the future here. My parents have been happily married for, I don't know, a long time.
A couple of years.
Just a long time. Some amount of time that's long enough to where it's like, this is going well. My mom is a husky. No, my mom is a husky. Yeah. My dad is a duck. So it has been awkward more than a few times. It can endure. Just like Bane said about Gotham and The Dark Knight Rises, which
will endure,
was on TV the other day and is still one of the greatest movies of all time. But I think that for Oregon and Ohio State, it's one of the Big Ten aspects I'm most excited about. That you play these games, these teams. That's not what bugs me the most about the necessary, for sure, move to the Big Ten of playing big teams. Or, one day Oregon will go play Penn State and it could be a whiteout and Oregon will come up with some sick uniform combination, and against the backdrop of a whiteout, it's going to look awesome. I'm not mad about that. I think it's the Michigan State coming to town or Maryland coming to town. Like, can you just give me Washington State and going to Rutgers and whatnot? Can we just, I want to go to Boulder and Tempe and Palo Alto and whatnot. That's what gets me the most about the Big Ten. It's the random games.
There are a lot of random games, but I think a lot of people in the Big Ten would think some of these places, like Tucson, Arizona, that's random. All the Washington State and Oregon State, those are random spots if I'm a Big Ten fan, right?
Yeah, that's true. But it was our random. It was the Pac-12's random. Yeah. It was familiar. It was known. And for a lot of Oregon fans, it was places you could easily travel to. How many Oregon fans are going to travel to West Lafayette, Indiana, compared to the number that would go down to Tempe for a weekend?
Yeah, no, 100%. And that's going to be the problem. And you brought that up earlier in the show about the whole travel schedule and what that's going to look like. I don't think it's going to be that much of an issue if the professionals can do it. And I understand that college kids are not professionals, but I will assure you that they sure travel like it and are treated like it here in Eugene, Oregon. Um,
Well, that's true.
I I think they'll be okay with the travel stuff, but as for fans, yeah, it's going to be hard. There will be some people who make the cross country road trip or the half cross country road trip to go to Madison, to go to Purdue,
Ann
and I
Arbor.
greatly yeah, and I greatly respect that because I don't think I could do that. I don't think I could do that.
Yeah.
And, God bless 24/7 Sports for paying me to go to Purdue because, like you said, West Lafayette, Indiana, it's not necessarily a destination. Not a lot of tourists are going to West Lafayette. And I mean that with no disrespect because not a lot of tourists are coming to Eugene, Oregon either. But it does kind of suck. But, you know, money,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh, that's the best
nice.
way to sum up realignment. Well, dollars and cents and whatnot.
Yeah.
And